We're so happy to have this conversation with Dr. María Amelia Ruiz. Dr. María Amelia Ruiz is an Argentine lawyer, writer, and founder of the Mexican-American Pythagorean Philosophy Academy. She has an extensive written material, 12 published books, and around 80 in internal reproductions. All of these have been provided in workshops, seminars, retreats, conferences, etc. She started this work 30 years ago in Argentina and 21 in the various headquarters in Mexico. All this uninterrupted. This organization was born, as said, 30 years ago in Argentina, and its members are dedicated to the study, investigation, and dissemination of the Pythagorean philosophy knowledge. Throughout Mexico and Argentina, committed people with the knowledge participate actively. They attend systematically to study groups and receive seminars by Dr. Amelia Ruiz in 14 different headquarters, which are coordinated by authorized instructors for this philosophy. People remain captivated studying this knowledge for years, since when a window opens, one can access the knowledge it offers, and after that, the will to apply it in your own life is reached. Therefore, another window to the mystery is offered to be discovered. In the year 2004, this Pythagorean Philosophy Organization of Apprentices was institutionalized as a civil association, and this training has recently arrived to the United States of America and Spain. Hundreds of people from different nationalities, ages, professions, religions, social and cultural strata united in the search and study of a millenarian philosophical knowledge makes us have the premonition of the certainty that this knowledge can illuminate, guide, and transform every human being's life path. We invite you to find out. First of all, dear Amelia, we would like to know, which are the aims of the Pythagorean Philosophy Academy?
The purpose of today's Pythagorean Philosophy Academy in this 21st century is to reissue the Pythagorean school of divine wisdom that existed 5 centuries before Christ. At this time, the gigantic, mysterious, and enigmatic figure of Master Pythagoras lived. He was said to be philosopher, mathematician, musician, doctor, astrologer, biologist, physicist, metaphysician, and master of divine wisdom. It was at that time a vast school. It is said to be the first university in the Western world, which for decades had 3,000 permanent students in men and women pavilions, in the time that it was not common for women to receive with men a completely equal treatment. There, students learned what the known world was, which was the reason for its particularities, from which unknown world people came from, the different bodies, their ways of handling and healing, etc. On the way to enter the school in Crotona, the Gulf of Taranto, at that time the Great Greece, there was a sign that said, "Behind the profane, behind those who are willing to desecrate life in good." It is good, what we all seek consciously or unconsciously. Even those who steal and kill do not want themselves to be attacked or robbed. Therefore, for Pythagoras, good is not a cultural concept, but a complete and perfect energy that is not in the head and that requires daily search. He taught how to do it, and he used to say that in the culture, God is called good. He taught to seek and find one's identity, to know and recognize one's immortal soul. He taught human being how to vibrate in its number and in its internal music, and learn not to be a direct response to the. For Pythagoras, it is an essential purpose to teach human beings how to shape the culture of good on earth, to achieve their own happiness and that of the world. He used to say that its purpose was to elevate the human race and their brains to understand and then seek the most sublime values of the spirit, each according to their level of evolution. May the incarnated human understand his soul, understand his spirit, and understand the wonderful power he can handle if he manages his spirit, if he manages his soul, if he understands it, if he ends up translucing it through all the pores of his skin. Power to evolve, not human power, the transcendental power, the spiritual power.
So, we're talking about a very deep and transcendental knowledge. And which are the fundamental principles of the Pythagorean philosophy?
The fundamental principles of philosophy are the laws that govern everything that's being created. Through them, everything can be explained. It's like understanding the simplicity of the fact that fire burns, that water wets. As simple as that, Pythagoras unveils the laws that explain creation and the very existence of each human being as a unique and individual being. In this way, one learns to understand oneself in its mortal and immortal part in detail, in the genetic inheritance of one current incarnation, the family of origin, the race, the reason and the meaning of the world around us, so one can get to understand this mysterious life.
It is a wide but integral knowledge indeed, Ame. So, what is it that is learned and taught at the Pythagorean Philosophy Academy?
In the Pythagorean school, we learn the management of the mortal and the management of the immortal. If we do not awaken to the real consciousness of the immortal, we cannot handle the mortal. That is to say, what is the source and root of our afflictions, desires? Or, what is the same, our tastes, needs, requirements, desires, our character, the management of the five senses, the management of unstable emotions, which for Pythagoras are cerebral, right brain hemisphere, and have nothing to do with deep and stable feelings. It is vital that the human being recognizes himself through the fluid of his own soul going through his brain and body, that he manages to perceive it in his cells, in his molecules, that he can feel his soul vibrating in his hands, vibrating in his voice, in his way of looking. It is vital to understand that we are immortal beings traveling in the mortal world. That is why Pythagoras points out his basic principle to his disciples. Nobody has power over you, only God, and your immortal part. Do not let yourself be handled by anyone, not for nothing. That is why the awakening of the inner master makes us wake up with humility an authentic gratitude, our own wings to fly. For once, the own way is visualized, be able to awaken virtues that make us capable to travel it. It is understood that the power to express authentic happiness is based on the daily training of our will, at the service of the good, and not at the service of our own psyche, its desires, banalities, and vanities.
Now I get it. Pythagorean knowledge teaches us to be our own soul and be free from our own limitations. Then, the Pythagorean knowledge can help me transform my life and the way I see the world.
In order to talk about the practicality of Pythagorean knowledge, to understand and transform your own life, I think it is vital to understand, for example, one of its reflections. God never gives shadows to his children, with which the chaotic circumstances that appear to all of us at one or several moments of our lives enclose a hidden light in the form of teaching, that this knowledge teaches to unveil. Once I understand it and make the change that such teaching is asking me to achieve, it will not happen again in all my eternal life, because involution doesn't exist. Land one is never again to be stepped. And as for the way of looking at the world, Pythagoras teaches the achievement of direct vision, without interpretations of reality, as it is common that we always do, using our brains when they were not yet trained. He calls this opening of the eye ritual, third eye or internal eye, when human being is able to look at the world and at people, at life and at situations, beyond personal interests of his sound brain, far beyond the tastes and desires, and far beyond the memories related to each part of his outside world, that can signal their own unconscious or cerebral subconscious. What else can knowledge do for me? It can help me understand different circumstances of life, understand that life is God, and enter into a dialogue with Him through my own life. God communicates himself through the events of my own life. That have affinity with me, of course I fill them with harmony. They form part of the recreation of living. But the most important events are those that I find disharmonic. This is so because they lack a piece of something exceptional, wonderful and bright that I need to put in them, myself. So, those events get close to me in compliance with the law of magnetism, but also for me to enlighten them. When I succeed to do so, then I can understand the reason why they approached, and so they not only solve, but they never come back again to my life. And what is more important, I remain with the sublime energy of a virtue that, until that chaotic moment, maybe I had never used or experienced before. Everything has a sense. Everything obeys the law of order. Everything is totally ordered. That's why Pythagoras had a phrase, "Do not get into disorder. Be a mathematician."
So, through the study of the Pythagorean philosophy, we can learn a state of being which is usually unknown. Be our own selves with capital letters, by knowing our soul and with it, managing our temperament, senses, and desires, and with that, our world and our lives. Thank you for such a profound message, Amelia. We'll meet back in our next Souls meeting in the seminar you will share. And again, thank you so much, Amelia.